Hello, this is Meta News Business. I am El Blanco with the Meta News Network. And we do have a network because we have multiple shows that you can go see on our YouTube channel at Meta News for Horizon Worlds VR. And that's Meta News for Horizon Worlds VR. And tonight you're just watching the business segment, and sometimes I interview people on our on the Blanco Business Buzz as well. So stay tuned, for the next guest that make it known that they want to appear on the show. Um, Now tonight, I usually do I do a topic that sometimes the members of Horizon World ask. They may catch rocks or catch Universal Dragon, or I may have some content that I've decided to present based on conversations or different appearances throughout Horizon Worlds. And I think I'm going to talk about law tonight because that's what I'm doing at home right now. My mind is wrapped up in law tonight, and law is a very, very important topic. And as important as it is, um, I think that everyone should find it very strange that if law governs your life, why don't you know about it? Why don't you have a greater understanding? Why aren't you even involved in part of your education, continuous education, um, being about law? So I'm gonna go into a little details, but not too deep because law is complex. They do regulate it. They want you to be on the state bar to be an attorney to do law in any state. You can't make any appearance or any suggestive content to make people think you're a lawyer if you're not, or an attorney or not, and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a general breakdown of the law before I go into the main topic or main scenario. Okay, well, the world operates on all types of laws from your municipality. So that's municipal law, which is normally ordinances and so forth, but they're law. Um, you have a different jurisdiction when you're dealing with the city, but the city is typically operating off state law. They're enforcing or they're implementing state law. Um, State law has for some time because the United States itself had went into bankruptcy, and that's history about law that you need to know. They went into bankruptcy a couple of times, and therefore it turned this nation into a debtor's nation. So we have bankruptcy laws, and our money is basically, controlled by a private entity because of that called the Federal Reserve, not your Treasury Department that would normally be looking out for the best interests of the people because constitutionally they have to, but we're in a commercial world. We're in a commercial existence where everything is contractual. And that's why when I say state laws, most states have adopted a lot of the principles and a lot of the uniform commercial codes as law principles to operate commerce because we're doing commerce internationally, interstate, and intrastate. And now, because I'm saying commerce and I'm still talking about law, you have to understand it from the standpoint of business because business controls everything. And that's why they have so many forms of laws that control business and regulate business to include the Uniform Commercial Code. So, by sharing that, we go up a little further. We know that once we get past state law, we have federal law because this is a nation state that they want us to keep calling a country. But your actual federal law is to the corporate United States, because the corporate United States that we're talking about now is a corporation that people don't notice. And once you understand that, you have just a little bit more power and a little bit more ground and standing when someone is trying to take, presume or assume control or jurisdiction over you when you have more rights than that corporate entity, but you're doing what they call contracting by implied contracts as opposed to express contracts, just by receiving the benefits and using services that they provide for its citizens that they always refer to as people until you want to redress some bad issues. But without being too biased or being too, being too, I guess, I won't say aggressive, just keeping it, real when it comes to calling things what they are. And then when you get past the federal law, you have constitutional law, and I guess that kind of confuses people because they think that the federal law is the constitutional law. No, the Constitution is a contract in itself that constituted all the debts to France when we went bankrupt, which is why everything we point over to England all the time, just like you see Canada and so forth, because we are indeed colonies. But people don't want to use that. They want to say we're Americans, we're the most powerful people on the planet. No, you're a colony. And you're not alone in this colony, and this colony has many attributes to it that makes it the world power and why it's been the world power for so long. And but the federal law is under the constitutional law because the Constitution um gave birth. It enabled this government to establish its legislative branch, its executive branch, and its judicial branch, all of which has distinct functions to maintain and guarantee prosperity and protection, but under the restrictions that the Constitution restricts these states, which are not living beings, but artificial beings. And sometimes people like to refer to those as the saints and sinners, because if you're down here, you're in debt. So you're a sinner. If you're purely the saints, you're the gods, you rule things. I know it sounded real harsh, but I'm not gonna try to intimidate the people who are trying to keep up with these harsh talks, but just giving your perspective. But these are corporate entities, and these are the laws that govern even these entities, even though these entities have made their own laws. So the Constitution gave the corporation the ability to make all the laws it wants as long as you, the people, agree with these laws by what they call it. You hold your government accountable. So some people have voted as a registered voter because they have delegated the authority for these people in Washington to represent them. These are your representative governments, and the same thing with the states. So then when they start doing what they want and having all these government secrets and not letting you know what's going on, that's on you. So some of us, we don't have representative government. We chose to govern ourselves. And because we're in a modern world, a commercial world, an international world, is certain things you have to do and establish if you choose to govern yourself, because just that's just the way they all agree. So what do we mean by agreeing? Well, we have treaties. Just like it says in the Constitution. They say this Constitution, the one that enabled everything in the beginning, then they say, and the laws of the United States, that means anything that Congress would create for its citizens, and the treaties are the law of the land. So if you understand that, then just that little bit there, you can find freedom. You can find more freedom in this world than you got because of the modern way that capitalism work, financial system work, and the way political forces work, and all these things. So everybody's just doing what they was put here for as a purpose, and the people who don't know really serve the purpose of the people who gives them a purpose, because they don't even understand how these people are giving them the purpose, because they control everything that you use, everything that you need to even participate in just some as simple as buying food. So we got these laws. Now, outside of these laws, these nation states have formed governments, formed within the governments, different type of alliances and treaties and declarations and conventions and all these things, world courts, the whole nine. So those who are party to other agreements are subject to the agreement that they, as collective nation states in the international realm, they abide by. So when you understand these things, all these things are what's in play when it comes to the very notion and concept of doing business, because all that they're doing with these laws is business. So when you hear it's nothing personal, it is just business, then if you got laws that are really restricting you from doing some things, you need to find out how to change those laws. And you're not going to do it by yourself because it's a procedural thing. It's a institutional thing. And when you have something that's institutionalized, that means that's the will of the people because they instituted it. So people who understand that create various institutions to change policy and to reroute the society that they're in when they seeing that this is becoming too much or that is becoming too much. And that's the natural order of things because as you see my hand moving, I'm making a one of those infinity signs. It goes around, come back around, goes around. So sometimes the forces of evil they just go so far until the people get so tired of being mistreated, killed, destroyed, whatever the case may be, until just raise up. And then now you can't use fear against us. You can't use all these weapons because now you can't kill everybody. You won't have nobody to rule. So people raise up, and so sometimes it come around in a circle and it changes. But then when these people get in place, now they reestablish some things for the better, right? But then once those people get in all this power and the power corrupts, and over time even the good guys turn to the bad guys, and you can understand this just by going and watching the original Star Wars 1, 2, and 3, and you understand just by the nature of the Sith as even the White Jedi. So you will understand the nature of how things work because all things are a balance of the universe. You determine your outcomes. You determine your fate based on what you know and don't know. So business is always your first step to knowledge because within business, you're gonna get introduced to law. You may get introduced to business law. You may get introduced to whatever laws that govern whatever the I would say um, the type of business that you're doing. You may be an attorney, you may be a doctor, you may be an accountant, a trader. All these things have a law because it's all regulated. And now I'm gonna give you something that you can really understand. If if I've been too expansive, I'm gonna narrow it down. So let's say you went to Walmart and you inside Walmart. Okay, Walmart got policies and procedures you must abide by while you're there. If you don't, they're gonna call the police. And when police say you've been trespassed, you're gonna leave or get arrested right on the spot because you Walmart's law. You're on Walmart's property, right? But Walmart sits in that county, in that city, depending on if it's city jurisdiction or county jurisdiction. And Walmart's now is subject to whatever agreement they got with that county. They say, well, we may pay taxes, or you may not even tax us for the next 10 years for us to be here and and let you have jobs here, or whatever that reason. That's the contract they're under. But Walmart is also subject to the business laws that govern business and corporations and so forth and so on. So they still got things they need to abide by. Now let's just say Walmart or the state, right, did something on their job, on their property, and it was a constitutional violation. You know what I'm saying? So that means sometimes now you have to go above them and bring in for investigation or bring in a good reason why they need to come in because that could be a practice that's been going on that needs to be changed because it is um in violation of the guaranteed protections that the Constitution was set up from the first 10 Bill of Rights to restrict from corporations to do. And the state is a corporation. So when you understand law and they tell you all these things and give you all these movies and all these TV shows to make you think law really works that way, so you have no clue. No, understand entities, understand the status that an entity has. Understand that as a citizen, you may not have the same rights or privileges as a national. As a corporation, you may not have the same privileges as a nonprofit organization. As a nonprofit organization, you may not have the same privileges as a non-government organization. And either or, you may not have the same privileges or power as a trust or foundation. So tonight, I've just discussed a little bit about law, hoping that you will see the grave importance of understanding law. And for those who have been subject what you're used to is always seeing people around you being incriminated by all these laws they make so you can violate 1 and 2 or 3 and be incriminated to lose whatever rights you have and be in prison, that's even more important why you should know law. Because if you knew these things, you wouldn't be continuously running to bail bondsmen and trying to get attorneys who don't even know you. They just come in on the day of the trial because they're public defenders and just get you to do a plea bargain or whatever. You would know better and you would stop these things. And if you could stop these things, you could progress because all it does is extract more money from you that would be used to start a business or that would be used to sustain a business or it would be used to grow a business. But you have to know these things. So, last thing I'm gonna say and is this is why I will be opening up a discussion hall as well as a lecture hall, and I will be working with another member on another project that we're going to be announcing. And that project will be forming an organization that's already been formed to actually teach uh, specific knowledge in these different areas of law so that we can create trustees. We'll be able to create law merchants. Um, we'll be able to create the type of collective that's needed to form the proper type of organizations in real life to protect you, your own interests, and put you in a position to where you're not subject the way people are as general citizens. So this has been Meta News Business. I am El Blanco, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in again. I know it got deep tonight. I always try not to get as deep, but it's on my mind. And though and although we haven't had a person to interview, we like to make sure that if you're interested on getting interviewed because you have a project in Horizon World, you have bills in here, you're part of this community, and if you have something to contribute and you need exposure on the Blanco Business Buzz show, make sure you get with Miss Rocks, and if you can schedule a time on a Monday night and she can confirm it, we'll do it. And so make sure you can contact her on the Instagram handle. It's Miss Rock. No, I'm sorry. It's Meta News with two S's and an underscore following the last S. So it's Meta News with two S's underscore. That's how you will contact Miss Rocks. And if you're interested, and make sure you go to our YouTube channel and make sure that you leave a comment and tell us what you think about the topics. And hopefully, y'all can generate a few comments so that people can start discussing what they're learning by watching the show. And we want to hear how important the type of information that you're getting is to you and how you've been able to use it. So when you do leave a comment, send me you can just let me know and send me your email in that comment, and I will email you a digital book. And if you have a topic in particular, I'll see if I have a book for that topic because I have a large library, and because I do a lot of reading and studying, and just let me know. Okay, so we thank you for tuning in. And make sure you tune in to all our other shows. Just go to the Meta News, the original Meta News, or go to any of the Meta News and look for different doors and different schedules, and see what we're doing. Okay, good night.